And move on. Honourable Leader of the New Democrats.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Lord knows we wouldn't want to talk about what you promised in the election, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, the Jobs Minister told the House that his policy of political interference was approved in advance by the Information and Privacy Commissioner. But the memo he released from the Commissioner tells a very different story, Mr. Speaker, warning of the risks of ministers and their political staff influencing or interfering with FOIP requests. The Commissioner clearly did not approve the policy. My question is to the Minister. Why did you tell us that the Commissioner had approved your policy in advance when clearly she had not?
Of Jobs, Skills, Training and Labour.
Well, Mr. Speaker, let's set the record straight. Obviously, when the member arises in a question period, or where media approaches us in a scrum, or frankly when public calls on an issue that they know about as a result of a FOIP, they fully expect that a cabinet minister that is in charge of a ministry has a full understanding of what information is being released from his or her ministry. Cabinet ministers are the storekeepers of their ministry. They ought to know what's being released. In order to do that, it is only important that a cabinet minister be advised by his department what is going out and what information is being released.
Honourable member for supplemental.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Well, the Minister's memo to the Premier and the Cabinet informing them of this policy, in which he claims that the Commissioner had approved it, was dated November 29, 2013. The Commissioner's letter to the Minister, in which she warns of the risks of the policy, was dated a week later, December 6, 2013. So I want to ask the Premier what he thinks about his minister telling the House that the Commissioner had approved this policy when clearly she had not. She had warned a week later that it was wrong.
The Honourable Minister.
So, Mr. Speaker, what I have done, and as the Commissioner writes in her letter, further to our telephone conversation of November 27, 2013, I have called her and I said, would it be inappropriate if our ministries were to tell us, the ministers, what it is that they will be releasing starting Monday to Friday next week, so that we know in advance what it is that we will be dealing with the public, with constituents, with media and the opposition. She said in principle she has no issue with ministers being advised as long as there is no interference, Mr. Speaker, and there wasn't any.
Final supplemental, Honourable
Speaker. Well, that's interesting, because the Commissioner's concerns have been validated. A memo dated December 13, 2012, shows that a FOIP request to the Minister of Health was vetted by his partisan press secretary 2 months before it was released.
Not the day of.
Not only that, Mr. Speaker, but it was clear that the source of the FOIP request was partly revealed to the Minister. So I want to ask the Premier, will you please, Mr. Premier, will you please stop the bafflegab and admit your government is interfering with the Freedom of Information process and
Mr. Speaker, the public of Alberta wants to know and can be assured that the FOIP process works appropriately for them without political interference. They also want to know and can be assured that ministers of the Crown will know and understand the information that's being released from their department in order that they can discuss it appropriately in the public context. Those are all appropriate pieces, and that's an appropriate way for it to happen. The ministers of the Crown do not interfere with FOIP coordinators' release of information, but they should be informed about the information which is being released.